I was recently introduced to the Temazcal, and I realized that it fit in perfectly with this journey that I've been on. This idea of letting go of things that are comfortable and that are familiar in hopes of discovering something more profound within myself, while at the same time reflecting on all of the things that I have to be grateful for. Now, a Temazcal is basically a pre-Hispanic sauna or sweat lodge, but its cultural roots and its powerful ability to cleanse the body and the mind go far beyond what you might typically think of when you hear those words. To prepare for the Temazcal ceremony, volcanic stones are superheated over a fire until they are red hot. Those stones will eventually be placed in the middle of a very small stone structure or tent, and all of the participants sit around the stones in complete darkness. The ceremony includes chanting and a sharing of thoughts and gratitude, and one by one the stones are introduced into the circle and water is poured over them to produce this immense heat and an almost overwhelming rush of steam. The ceremony is both incredibly calming and intensely exhilarating. This is Soto. Soto is part of the team at the hostel that I'm working for. He spent years living amongst indigenous people in southern Mexico, and now he leads the Temazcal ceremonies for the hostel's guests. There is no one better to explain the true value of the Temazcal than Soto.
Nosotros creemos que hay algo que se está perdiendo. Creemos que podemos vivir en las ciudades, estamos felices viviendo en las ciudades, pero hay algo que no es natural y que es la desconexión. Y esa es la razón por la que hacemos el Temazcal. Queremos recibir espejos, queremos encontrar espejos en las cosas, y cuando nosotros nos identificamos con una planta, con una persona, creemos que es una oportunidad de crecimiento. Buscamos una conexión con el cosmos, porque el Temazcal reproduce lo que fue el inicio del universo: mucho vapor, polvo de estrellas, agua, oscuridad. Y básicamente nosotros y el universo estamos hechos de los 4 elementos, ¿no? Estamos diseñados y creados por el sol, el fuego. El viento domina nuestros pensamientos y nuestras ideas. El agua regula nuestras emociones y la tierra nos alimenta el espíritu, nos alimenta la carne. Entonces vamos al Temazcal y hacemos la ceremonia del Temazcal porque estamos recordando cómo se creó todo. El Temazcal es la fiesta del origen de la vida. Les hacemos una fiesta y el regalo que llevamos a su fiesta es el cuerpo. Nosotros les damos el cuerpo, sudor, como una ofrenda al universo, y ellos como intercambio nos dan salud. Y se convierte la fiesta en un hospital para nosotros. Usamos la piel para sanar, para sudar, y a los órganos internos, a los riñones, al hígado, al estómago, los ayudamos porque ellos son los encargados de sacar las toxinas del cuerpo, pero activando la piel descansan los órganos internos. Estamos en una atmósfera con temperaturas altas y 100% de humedad. El cuerpo en esas condiciones fuera de lo normal se siente increíblemente bien, está súper sano. Vamos al Temazcal a inducir un estado de conciencia, a buscar una realidad alterna. No porque no nos guste esta realidad, sino porque es complementaria. Usamos la mente como una herramienta sutil para poder viajar, a quemar lo que no pertenece a nosotros, ¿no? Las malas ideas, los malos pensamientos, los sentimientos negativos. Es un hospital porque sanamos el cuerpo, es una fiesta porque nos la pasamos bien, y también para nosotros es un lugar de rezo, es un círculo espiritual, con las piedras, con el fuego, con el agua, con el vapor, y haciendo esa conjunción de elementos podemos atraer, podemos invocar al mundo espiritual. Y estando con el mundo espiritual, pedimos por nosotros, pedimos por la tierra, pedimos por la familia, agradecemos a ellos por estar vivos y la conservación del planeta, y al final pedimos por nosotros mismos. Tratamos de mantener viva la tradición, porque si muere la tradición y muere la cultura, de verdad mueren los antepasados. If you are thinking about traveling, come to Puerto, come to Mexico, enjoy the waves here, enjoy the life, and let's go together to the Temazcal.
So what did I get out of the Temazcal experience? So I wanted to make this video about the Temazcal because I thought that after trying it for the first time, not only was it was very therapeutic physically because you're kind of sweating out a lot of things. You just generally feel very refreshed when you come out of it, kind of like you're going to a sauna, I guess. I think more importantly, there's an idea that it was a bit revealing to me in some ways, or impactful to me. And because of that, it made me think about a lot of things that are going on in my life or just with who I am as a person. You know, these trips that I've been taking, these journeys, these adventures, they've all been kind of revolving around this idea of exploration, adventure, and self-discovery. And so the Temazcal kind of fit in very perfectly with that because it helped reveal some things to myself that I knew inside already, but maybe it wasn't on the surface at this point in my life. So I'll just get straight into it. You go into this tiny little space where you're sitting just on dirt, you're on the earth. There's no light, everybody's sitting right next to each other, but you can't see anybody's face really. In the middle, there is a little pit where they will put the volcanic stones and pour the water on it. The people that are doing the Temazcal, like Soto and the other assistants, they're starting to do this chant. So there's some music that's going on. And then one by one, they bring in these red hot stones, these volcanic stones into the Temazcal. Whoever's running the ceremony takes a small pail of water and then dumps it onto the stones. And as soon as that happens, there's this immense heat, this rush of steam that just blows directly into your face and your chest. Your body is sweating profusely. You feel this rush of heat that it burns your skin just a little bit, and then of course it just feels like your insides are kind of cooking up a bit. And it's really intense. To be honest, it's uncomfortable. It's a bit stressful on your body because it's so hot. Your mind is just trying to stay focused, it's trying to stay calm. It's trying to take in the experience without getting, let's say, too overly excited from the excessive heat and all of that stuff. Because again, it is a bit stressful on your body. It's just so hot inside there. There are some people that choose to leave early because of how intense it is. But every once in a while, they kind of take a little break, and Soto or whoever's leading the Temazcal will ask if anybody wants to share anything with the group. There aren't really any rules in the Temazcal, but it is asked that if you do want to share anything with anybody, even if it's just one other person, that because we are here together, we're now here as brothers and sisters, that it should be shared with everybody, not just one person, not just with yourself, but share it with the group. So some people might say, you know, they're very grateful for being here, they're grateful for this experience. Because the Temazcal is tightly interwoven with appreciation for family and ancestors, things like that. Some people share things about, you know, their family members that have passed away, or a memory that they have of a grandmother or something like that. And for some reason, you know, I was sitting in there and I was thinking of what I wanted to say, and I was kind of running through it in my mind. You know, I kind of thought I had something really, what I thought might be impactful for everybody. And I don't know, for some reason, this whole process kind of brought me back to being in school. I was always a pretty shy kid in school. There'd be many a time where I would have something that I wanted to share with the class, but I would have this internal battle with myself of, should I share it? No, I don't really feel like it. Maybe somebody else will say the same answer, or maybe somebody's gonna raise their hand right when I start speaking and they're gonna take over. Or maybe, you know, what I was thinking was completely wrong and the teacher's gonna say something that's kind of embarrassing to me. Whatever it was, and I'd go throughout the whole class and I just simply wouldn't share what I had to share, or what I wanted to say, or whatever question, even a question, I wouldn't ask the question that I wanted to ask. But what's interesting to me is that as an adult, I've done a bunch of public speaking courses, I've spoken in front of audiences, I've done organizations like Toastmasters, I've been the vice president of an organization that I was a part of in college, and I've done videos like this and stuff. So I can speak in front of people, I can speak my mind. I love interesting conversations with friends and things like that. Despite all that, for some reason, it brought me back to this hesitation where I was thinking about what I wanted to say, and I thought that it was something that would be a good contribution to the group. But I was just, for some reason, I don't know if you'd say nervous. I was apprehensive I was apprehensive to share it. You know, what ended up happening is eventually the ceremony ended and I never said what was on my mind. I left with the same feeling that I had when I was in school, of being kind of disappointed with myself, a bit ashamed with myself, or just asking myself, you know, why didn't you just say something? Who cares if anybody judges you? Why does it matter? And not only that, but this environment of the Temazcal is probably the most welcoming, the most caring and understanding environment you could possibly be in, because everybody's mindset is just so tuned into, again, like the spirituality of everything, the community of everything. And so it would be the perfect environment to share some thoughts that you truly have inside of you with everybody else. And yet I still found that I didn't do it. I let the opportunity, I let the moment pass me by. And so, you know, that idea has just kind of been playing in my mind ever since then. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to address the issue, but I do think that one of the ways that I can do it is to continue to put myself in situations and in environments that at least provide the opportunity to share, to speak up, to stand out. I know I have it within myself. I know that's in me. I've proven it in the past. The surprising thing was that I didn't realize how much of the apprehension was still left inside of me. But to me, just having my body go through that in the Temazcal and then having my mind go through that was the most impactful thing that I got out of it. And so, of course, I'm very glad that I did it. You know, when you're sitting in the Temazcal, one of the things that Soto will say is, especially to those people that are sitting there and kind of starting to freak out because it's really dark, it's really, really hot, almost overwhelmingly hot. And some people start to think about leaving. They want to get out early, which of course you can. Nobody's going to force you to stay in there, but it is encouraged that you sit through it and you focus your mind and you relax and you find a way to get yourself to the very end of it. And the reason that they encourage that is because on the other side of that small bit of suffering is something very nourishing for both your body and your mind. I think just about anybody that has done the Temazcal can attest to that. When you come out, your body feels completely revitalized, your mind feels clear, you feel very grateful for things, you feel very connected to other people, and that only happens after you have pushed yourself through the whole experience. And so as people are starting to get uncomfortable and they're thinking of leaving, you know, Soto would remind us that in our day-to-day lives, we don't typically put ourselves through any suffering, not voluntarily, but because the world is divided into a balance of different things. These beautiful, wonderful experiences oftentimes must be balanced with some degree of suffering. And because we don't voluntarily put ourselves through that suffering in our day-to-day lives, in this Temazcal that we're in, this is where we allow ourselves to suffer just a little bit in a controlled environment. We allow ourselves to suffer just a little bit so that we can truly experience whatever beautiful things are on the other side of that suffering. I think that's one of the most profound things about the Temazcal. It's what makes it a challenge, and it's what makes it exhilarating and spiritual and just very fulfilling. And so if you have the opportunity, definitely try it out.